Hello everybody, this is Godzilla 2010 coming at you with another video. I'm going to be doing my sort of annual collection update video here where I talk about my collections and talk about various things that have happened in the year since I last uploaded. So here we are entering my basement here in my new home. We have Michael Myers greeting us here, but we'll travel down and take a look. This is the new media room for me. We've got some stuff going on here. We've got my DVD and Blu-ray collections and various other items here. I'm getting ready to take my Christmas decor down. I figured I might as well start recording some new content for you guys so we can take a look at some cool stuff together here. So lots of stuff has happened. Obviously I've moved house and I've got a new setup for everything. So I just want to take a look, and we'll focus on the Blu-rays here and DVDs for this video. But I've got lots of other stuff, as you can see, and many other things that we'll be touching on, but I just want to focus specifically on the DVDs and Blu-rays for this video. This room is definitely not finished yet. I've got a lot of stuff to clean up, and I've got some posters that I need to hang up still, and other things that need to go on these walls. I may consider eventually repainting it, but for now I just wanted to kind of take a quick run through and look at, specifically we'll talk about the movies and other things like that at this stage here, but I've got lots of other stuff, of course, that we may touch on in other videos, but again, just want to talk about the DVDs. So with DVDs and movies and Blu-rays and all that stuff, what I do with this setup, it's sort of similar to how I've done it before in the past. I've got basically the same shelving units. The collection has certainly increased, but the collection is sort of divided into genres and is sorted in sort of a unique way. If you've seen any previous collection video of mine, you'll know how I sort of sort my DVDs. But basically, just to go over that again, how I sort that is that this shelf here is all horror movies, scary movies, etc. And this shelf is a continuation of that. And then this shelf on the other side of the television here is basically everything else. At the bottom, there's like comedy and animation and anime and fantasy, and then mostly science fiction and action, and then superhero, and then there's a continuation of the shelf here, and then this is all VHS tapes. So yeah, kind of a weird way to organize, but I basically kind of block off genres, and then how I sort is that I sort by chronological order, so oldest to newest. So at the bottom of this shelf we have Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which is one of the earliest horror movies ever. It's one of the first ones to ever exist, so it's sort of at the very beginning here of the collection, and then chronologically we continue on to, this is like movies from like the 40s, 50s, 30s, 60s, and early 70s, and continuing on. And then one other thing that I will do as well is that when the first movie of a franchise appears in chronological order, the rest of the franchise follows. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre appears right here, right there it is, and then Texas Chainsaw 2, and then on the follow-up of the shelf here we've got the sequels that I have. So basically the sequels will remain, and other movies in the franchise remain unbroken, and the chronological order just continues from there. So at the very end of the collection I have Weapons, which came out in 2025. So yeah, just a big collection of movies that are sorted by chronological year order. Talking about horror movies, I've really become so fascinated by the horror genre. I really like just how unique it is and how varied it can be. There's so many different crazy and unique things in horror movies that other movie genres and other movies just don't really get into usually. Horror has just such a vast array of different feelings and different moods and different things you can experience. You can be genuinely frightened, you can be disgusted, you can be, you know, like totally laughing your butt off or whatever you want it to be, or you can be, you know, just going, what the heck is going on here? So I just think it's tons of fun to experience that. You're thinking, I mentioned it in one of my previous collection videos, but one of the like my favorite areas of the collection is the Halloween franchise. I love the Halloween movies. I'm a huge fan of Michael Myers and like just this particular franchise in general. I love obviously all horror movies, but this is kind of a favorite for me. I really like the, I've talked about it before, but of course the original Halloween, all-time classic movie. I have some great releases. This is the like 35th anniversary edition steelbook. And then I've got, of course, other movies here as well. Theatrical editions of the Rob Zombie Halloweens and the director's cuts, the producer's version of Curse of Michael Myers, and then, of course, the new trilogy, particularly like Halloween Kills. So yeah, the Halloween franchise is very, very exciting and fun for me, and these releases are very, very cool and enjoyable. I know a lot of like cinephiles and like huge, movie fans and other physical media collectors will only stand by the latest formats like 4K Ultra Blu-ray and Blu-ray instead of regular DVD, which I totally understand. If you're looking for the best quality, like 1080p HD, that's definitely the way to go. Myself personally, I'm not really a huge person or stickler, I guess, when it comes to like quality of the movie. I mean, I definitely want to make sure that I can actually, see the movie if I'm watching it, but I'm not really that concerned if it's a Blu-ray or DVD. To me, I'm not really like, I just can't really, I can tell the difference, but it doesn't really matter to me, if that makes sense. So I know that's like blasphemous to some people, but to me, the cost effectiveness of buying a DVD that's a few dollars cheaper than buying the Blu-ray, it means owning the movie at a cheaper price to me. So that's why I've been usually buying a lot of new DVDs recently, like Alien Romulus here. This came out, just last year or 2 years ago, so I did buy it on DVD. And same thing, of course, with Weapons I just showed you. So yeah, DVDs are totally acceptable to me, so that's why I kind of have a wide expansion of just DVD in this collection. Despite me being not a huge stickler for quality, I do love special edition movies and packaging and stuff like that, like a lot of other collectors do. The Friday the 13th box set, talked about it before, great box set. Just love the artwork and the packaging there. It's incredible. I like my steelbooks too, like the Howling Galaxy of Terror steelbooks, very cool. You gotta love the Scream Factory Blu-rays with like the reversible cover art as well. Big fan of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm like any other collector. I love special editions. I love great packaging and weird stuff like that. Like, look at this edition for Pieces. This is by like Grindhouse Releasing. We got this like awesome looking artwork with this great Blu-ray. It even comes with a CD with the soundtrack. So I mean, yeah, this is a really deluxe Blu-ray, and sometimes, depending on what it is, you gotta have a cool box set like that. Then other times, it just depends on my mood, I guess, at the time, and I'll go for more of like a budget buy. Like this here is the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. This has all the movies up to Freddy vs. Jason on just DVD, and it's in this little like box set. And then of course I have the remake there too, but that's basically just gonna be like a budget array for me to collect and own all those movies. So yeah, part of it's coming down to the budget, but sometimes you just have to go for those special editions. I love the horror movie franchises. I'm always looking to either get the next movie in a series or complete the movie series. Like I just recently got this Pet Sematary 2 collection set. It has the Pet Sematary remake, which I already owned, but it also has that new prequel movie called Bloodlines on it. So gotta have that to complete the collection there. This is sort of like a Stephen King section here, it looks like. If the It television series comes out on DVD, I might get that at some point. But yeah, I mean, always looking to complete franchises and have as many movies in a series that I can, just for kind of like completion's sake. I mean, you can see more examples here. Candyman, Leprechaun, all the Leprechaun movies, the Wishmaster collection, the Mimic collection. Just I love those franchises and I love completing them. It's a big part of the fun of collecting for me. We're starting to get into like the 2000s here, which that's kind of like my expertise as far as nostalgia goes, at least. But for horror movies, I'm not really a big fan of the the 2000s, or at least the early 2000s as far as horror goes. I mean, there's definitely some great, awesome movies from the 2000s and late 90s, like 28 Days Later. That's an incredible movie, really, really good. And then, you know, there's just thinking like Saw. I love the original Saw is a classic, great movie. And of course the entire franchise at play here is so fun. But the early 2000s have a different feeling than like the 80s and the 90s, obviously. And I kind of will, that's part of the reason why I sort chronologically is sort of that decadeology, or like the differing, you know, tones and filming techniques and all the kinds of things, cultural events that change the landscape of entertainment throughout these decades, gives different feeling and different vibes for each movie and for each decade. So, you know, you never know what you're gonna get until you start paying attention, I guess. At the very top of this shelf here, it kind of ends on like 2009, 2008 with the Crazies, maybe 2010, I think. So we go all the way back down to this smaller shelf here, and then we continue. So that's kind of where that break happens. So continuing, I've got a lot of other, you know, movies here. It's crazy because there's so many movies that I actually haven't even seen or watched. There's some movies that have just kind of fallen into my lap, some that I've bought and wanted to watch but didn't get around to it, or ones that I'm waiting to watch at a right time. So, you know, there's always an endless fascination of, you know, what can I watch here? Sometimes it's very hard to decide what I should watch and when I should watch it. Getting into, you know, the more modern era of horror here. There are some great, awesome modern horror movies as well. I'm a big fan of the Malignant. That's a good one by James Wan, kind of a fun movie. The Smile movies are good. I definitely liked Smile 2 more than the first one. But that's a pretty good one. This is a controversial movie, Skinamarink. I actually really liked it. I definitely understand why people didn't like it. It's a really hard movie to understand, I think, and to get into because it's so boring, but I ended up really enjoying it. We have here one of my favorites from the last few years, Late Night with the Devil. I really liked this one, watched it with my wife. My wife isn't like huge into horror like I am, but she did really like this movie. We've watched it a few times. I really enjoyed this one especially. And at the end of the collection here, we got the last several movies. We got like Weapons, The Substance. I really liked In a Violent Nature. I know that, again, that's kind of a controversial one. You either like it or you don't like it. I liked it. It's a movie that's kind of based on vibes, and I'm definitely kind of a vibe sort of guy. Like movies like It Follows have a certain feeling or vibe to them that I really dig. So the In a Violent Nature was good. Longlegs was okay, but then yeah, The Substance was pretty good, and then The Weapons I thought was also pretty solid. So yeah, lots of great new horror movies, and again, watching them on just the DVD format versus Blu-ray doesn't really bother me. I know that bothers a lot of people, but not me. So I'm perfectly okay with just the DVD format. I'll take a quick moment to talk about this TV setup here. This TV I've had for a long time. It used to be my parents' TV, and it was their first HD TV. So this TV is like 15, almost 20 years old, I imagine. But it's been in use for a long time. I've been using it, playing games, watching movies on it for forever. So this TV has definitely stood the test of time. Since we're showing off the collection, we're watching Godzilla 2000, the US cut there on television. I've got a VHS DVD combo player here. There's no reason for that to be on, so we'll turn it off. But it allows me to watch VHS tapes. I don't really use the DVD component with that player because I have this nice Blu-ray player. That's a Panasonic Blu-ray player, very good quality. Again, it's an older player, but it works very well. And I also have my PlayStation 3 here as well. The PlayStation 3 is also a great Blu-ray player, so that also functions as a secondary. In here, I've got all my video games. This is sort of like retro corner, so PlayStation 2 and my PlayStation 2 console, all my PlayStation 2 games, and then PlayStation 3 games, of course. I have my Nintendo DS stuff here also. So yeah, this is kind of like the retro area, and then in the other cabinets, just extra stuff, extra cases, PlayStation 1, my DS and controllers, all that good stuff. So yeah, lots and lots of extra stuff in these cabinets for storage. Now we'll move over to the other shelf here. So this is where you kind of get more of a variety of my taste in collection. Some of the stuff is my wife's. I've mentioned that I think before in my previous video, but she will have some stuff of her own. She has her own like personal collection somewhere else, but a few things that she's just mixed in here with my stuff, or I've mixed in with her stuff. It's all our stuff, so at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal, but this kind of just shows our overall taste. Starting the comedy section off, we got the Three Stooges DVDs that I have. I used to really like the Three Stooges when I was a kid a lot. And then some my favorite comedies, Monty Python and the Goonies, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, really fun. We have comedies that my wife's a fan of, like Major Payne, Liar Liar, all the Wayans Brother movies. Wayans Brothers, they put out some really funny stuff. I became a big fan, mostly because of my wife. I have some other stuff here. Drake and Josh television episodes. Clay World. This is kind of obscure. Clay World Off the Table. That's a old internet series that was made into a movie. Very interesting stuff there. Get this. This is a really nice box set here. This Family Guy Star Wars trilogy set. Very, very cool. It's got all three of those Star Wars parodies on Blu-ray, and it's one of the first box sets that I had for Blu-rays. It's very nice, so really, really big fan of that one. We're getting into animation now, so it kind of starts off here with Sleeping Beauty and these Disney movies, but I also have other stuff mixed in, like movies like Watership Down and The Plague Dogs, which are absolutely not animated movies for kids, but they're very good movies, and they are animated, so they go here. Land Before Time, one of my favorite animated movies ever, and I have the entire DVD collection there as well, where every sequel is a musical, so I'm really only a fan of the first one, but it's good to have all of them there. So like, lots of famous animated movies here. I am missing a couple. I let some out. I usually don't lend my movies out because this tends to happen. I tend to lose them, so I'm missing like Incredibles, Ratatouille, and I think Finding Nemo, which are like three of my favorites. So I'll have to get those back at some point, or at least fill those spaces into the collection. But plenty of other animated movies to watch, plenty of others to enjoy and love. I'm a big fan of like the Kung Fu Panda movies. I've got the first two especially. I haven't even seen the fourth one, but the first two Kung Fu Pandas are great. Here, there's sort of a break in the genre. Scooby-Doo. I've loved the Scooby-Doo franchise. So there's of course, the complete original series, and then I've got some other DVDs, series episodes, movies, and other great stuff here. I love the live action Scooby-Doos as well. So the Scooby-Doo original live action and Monsters Unleashed. Loch Ness Monster was one I watched a lot as a kid. And then I have the Mystery Incorporated series as well. So yeah, love Scooby-Doo. And this sort of starts this genre of kids horror, I guess you could say. Like, this collection has like Beetlejuice and The Corpse Bride, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which sort of fits, but Tim Burton, I guess, so there's more Tim Burton stuff there. Scary Godmother, Monster House. I love Monster House. That's one of my favorites again. So yeah, sort of a weird section for like kids horror. Starts with Scooby-Doo, and that moves straight over to the anime section. So I'm becoming really more interested in Dragon Ball. I'm going to have to get some more Dragon Ball on DVD. This is all I have right now. I have this DVD, which I got at a convention. It's the second half of the Piccolo Jr. saga of the original Dragon Ball. So it's kind of a weird DVD. It has like 20 or 30 episodes on it, and it's a great arc where Goku is basically just fighting Piccolo Jr. It's the end of the Dragon Ball original series. So it's a great arc, but I just need to get more. Season 3 of DBZ, the Frieza saga. I've talked about that before. That's definitely, I think, the peak of Dragon Ball. So I had that one on DVD for a long time. I think I want to get the rest of it, though. And then here I've got the Dragon Ball movies. This is all the original Dragon Ball Z movies. So from Dead Zone to Wrath of the Dragon. I'm particularly fond of the original Broly and Cooler's Revenge. Those are good. And then I have Dragon Ball GT as well. I kind of just got that one because it was available. It was like $15 or something, or cheaper than that. So I've been kind of slowly working my way through that one. The startup of that one's pretty rough, but it's starting to get interesting. So GT is not all bad. And then I've got Pokemon. This is 1, 2, 3 on those Warner Brothers Snapcase DVDs. Those are very nostalgic for folks like myself who grew up in the 2000s. And then we've got the Pokemon 4-pack, and then one of my favorites, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. We have Miyazaki's Spirited Away and Full Metal Alchemist, the original Full Metal Alchemist series 1, 2, and then the movie. And then this is the Tokyo Ghoul complete first season, which I also haven't watched yet. There's a smaller section here for just drama. So drama kind of starts back here with the Rocky franchise. I have this really cool Rocky Blu-ray set. It's got Rocky 1 through 6, and they're all on Blu-ray. It's a really cool set. I have Creed and Creed 2 and Creed 3, so I guess that kind of completes the Rocky series. I haven't watched Creed 3 just yet, but I'll check it out at some point. And then sort of other just drama movies like Shawshank. I guess you could call Pulp Fiction a drama. Sometimes genres get kind of nebulous, so it's hard to tell. And then one of my favorites is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I really am a big fan of that one. Here we have some fantasy movies. So I have the Neverending Story, the first 2 movies, the Conan movies. I've seen just the first Conan. I've just seen just the first Neverending Story. The Rankin Bass Lord of the Rings movie, the original one. Of course, the Peter Jackson films. I do have Return of the King extended edition on DVD. And then the Hobbit movies, Harry Potter, Pirates of the Caribbean, Clash of the Titans. So yeah, kind of a smaller section here, mostly just for specifically fantasy is what I've got that reserved for. And then here it starts action. Action sort of starts here. I've kind of reorganized the Bruce Lee section, or like martial arts, Enter the Dragon, which is one of the most famous martial arts movies. And then these are 2 different DVDs for Bruce Lee. They have different movies on them, but it's mostly just like bad public domain like versions of them. So yeah, not a great set there, but there's something. The first 4 Indiana Jones movies, I haven't seen the latest one yet. The Rambo movies, particularly fond of the original First Blood. And this is a weird set. Like, look at this. So you got this Blu-ray that's got First Blood and then Rambo on it. Now, Rambo is the 4th Rambo movie. So this is like the weirdest like organization. So, I mean, you got to just put 2 and 3 after it, and then I have 5 up there. But like, you can't really put it in order because this is 1 and this is 4. So it's kind of a weird thing that I'm a little anal about almost. Then we sort of start ending the action genre and then getting into science fiction, which is sort of my other area of expertise alongside horror. So I've got tons and tons and tons of science fiction related movies, monster movies, aliens, etc. All of the really good stuff is going to be here. Talked about King Kong before. I was finally able to get a DVD copy of King Kong Lives, which is really great. King Kong Lives was the last live-action Kong movie that I did not have for a long time. It's not a great movie. It's actually, I think, pretty bad movie, but it might be one of the worst Kong movies, but it fills that spot. It completes the collection, so I'm a big fan. You gotta love that. Of course, we will talk extensively here about Godzilla. Godzilla is the sort of other, alongside Halloween, the other sort of cornerstone of my collection. Huge Godzilla fan. I love Godzilla, and I love the movies a lot, and I have a lot to say about these DVDs. So my DVDs for Godzilla are all from like many different sets, generally in versions. I need to probably get some of them on Blu-ray eventually, because some of them I have are pretty out of date, or I don't have like all like English or all Japanese versions of all these movies. So that's something that I'm going to probably try to do at some point. But otherwise, the Godzilla set has been really good to me. So, of course, starting with the original Godzilla, this is these DVDs, so this one, and then all the ones with these thin spines here are from the Classic Media box set. They came out in like 2007, 2008. That's what this set here is, this Godzilla collection. Those DVDs are really, really cool because they have the original English or US edits of the movies in addition to the original Japanese edits as well. So with like Godzilla Raids Again specifically, you have, not only do you have the Japanese version, you also have the United States re-edit that calls it Gigantus the Fire Monster, which that is not available on like the latest Showa Criterion Blu-ray, which it should be, but it isn't for whatever reason. So this DVD does have that. It's one of the only ways you can watch that. So that's really neat. I really appreciate those classic media movies for going all out with the English and the different the English versions or the U.S. edits of these movies, because those are sort of getting lost. On the flip side, we have this DVD for King Kong versus Godzilla. This is just the basic Universal DVD, which is only the United States version. It's very different from the Japanese version. I know the Japanese version is only available on that Criterion Blu-ray collection in the United States. So that's one where I'll have to consider, getting a new version of, so I can get the Japanese version on DVD. A lot of these other releases, Godzilla collectors will probably recognize. I have several of the Sony 50th anniversary DVDs, which were kind of the gold standard back in the 2000s, maybe 20 years ago. Those are very, very popular. I guess sort of the best ways to watch those movies, and sort of how I first started watching Godzilla was through those old TriStar releases, like the Godzilla vs. Gigan and Hedorah Mechagodzilla DVDs, and then the Sea Monster one. Those are very, very nostalgic for me. For Godzilla 2, sometimes these movies are hard to find. Again, I know that Criterion Blu-ray just came out within the last couple of years or so, so that's been a good way to sort of help complete your collection for Godzilla. But sometimes, before that, I had to improvise. So this is Son of Godzilla. This movie is a bootleg. It's not an official release or anything like that. So it's just like a burned DVD that somebody was selling online. So I just got that to complete the collection. I did the same thing for Mechagodzilla and The Return of Godzilla. I was able to get an official copy of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla recently, so that's cool. And then I do have the official Return of Godzilla DVD, but then this DVD bootleg, in addition to the Japanese original version, also has the Godzilla 1985 US re-edit, which is unavailable on any official format outside of VHS. So that's cool to have. Again, great for completion's sake. Godzilla vs. Biollante, this DVD at one point was very, very hard to find and rare. Now that Criterion has put out a new Blu-ray, this DVD is worth nothing now, but it's still pretty cool. It's a fine way to watch the movie. And hey, the Criterion Blu-ray does not have the English dub for some reason, so this is the only way to watch it in English in the United States for now. And then the Heisei series ends here with Destroya, and then there's that little section dedicated to the TriStar Godzilla, or the 98 Godzilla. That was my first Godzilla movie, actually, was Godzilla 98. So again, kind of blasphemous for Godzilla fans, but it's a nostalgic movie. It doesn't really fit the character well, but it's part of the franchise, so it's there. And then of course the famous animated series as well, or the cult classic animated series for amongst fans, is always a treat. I have this Godzilla 2000 Blu-ray. I also have the DVD. I've had the DVD original release for a long, long time. But the reason I got this Blu-ray is because it has the Japanese edition of the movie, which is still pretty entertaining. It's very similar, of course, to the US edit. But the US edit does do a few things differently that I'm kind of nostalgic for. One cool thing that Blu-ray doesn't have is on the DVD, it has that really cool animated menu at the beginning, which is a good reason to keep that DVD, because that menu is awesome, where you select an option and then it's like shoots a missile at it. It's very cool. The Millennium Godzilla series, not a big fan of Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, but every other Millennium movie I actually really like. King Ghidorah, or GMK, I mean, is very good, and then Final Wars is so entertaining, so you gotta love that. Talking about modern Godzilla, we've got the MonsterVerse and the new Reiwa era Godzilla movies. So the 2014 Godzilla on Blu-ray, this is the version that still has the darkened colors, I guess. I think only the 4K has corrected it, so maybe I'll get a 4K for that at some point. I don't have a 4K player outside of a PlayStation 5, so maybe not. But anyway, that's just one thing. This is the original Shin Godzilla Blu-ray. I know they just released a new one at the time of this video, by Funimation, I think. Or this is the Funimation release, and then a different company has released a new Blu-ray. So this is the original Blu-ray release. And then we have the Godzilla anime movie trilogy. Planet of the Monsters, City on the Edge of Battle, and Planet Eater are those. Not a big fan of those movies. I think they're some of the weakest in the whole series, frankly. But hey, they're part of the franchise, so we will include them. And again, this is a bootleg. There's no official DVD release for these movies in the States. So this is just a bootleg. And then we have the King of the Monsters, actually one of my least favorites of the Monsterverse. Not a bad Godzilla movie at all. Definitely still a good movie, entertaining. But as far as the Monsterverse is concerned, I think it's the weakest, or at least the least entertaining. Godzilla Singular Point animated series. I haven't finished this yet. I've watched the first maybe 4 or 5 episodes. I'll have to continue with it. It's very different. It's not really the Godzilla that I know very well, and I'm not like a huge anime fan necessarily, but Godzilla is still pretty cool in animated form, so I'll continue with that. Godzilla vs. Kong, definitely a big fan of that one. And then, of course, the 2 latest movies at the time of this release. Minus One, of course, a fantastic movie, Academy Award-winning movie, and Godzilla x Kong. So, yeah, that completes the Godzilla franchise. Outside of Godzilla, of course, I have other monster movies, other science fiction movies, plenty more Toho movies, like this DVD for Rodan and War of the Gargantuas is great. I know that DVD is very rare these days. And then other bootlegs as well, like the Mysterians for Toho. And then I have this movie here, that's Dogora from Toho, Frankenstein versus Baragon. These are bootleg movies. This is just the US edit for Vera the Unbelievable. I have a little bit of Ultraman. I've got the Ultra Q Blu-ray set, which is a nice box set. And then I have this Ultraman DVD set, which is honestly really poor quality and not worth it all. Also, it looks like he has a huge hand here. We have Gamera movies. Gamera's pretty cool. I have this set, which is this is all just Japanese edits or original versions of the movies. It includes every movie except for Gamera the Brave here. This is another bootleg. This here is the first time I ever watched Gamera. This is a 2-pack of the United States public domain versions of these movies. I watched Attack of the Monsters first, aka Gamera vs. Giron. Crazy movie. I mean, one of the craziest Gamera movies in general. And then the less crazy, but still crazy somewhat, Gamera the Invincible, United States public domain version. So yeah, this was a very, very interesting way to start, or to get introduced to Gamera. Oddly enough, I'm almost more fond of the Showa Gamera than the Heisei, but the Heisei Gamera, of course, is still very, very well done and very, very popular in the Kaiju community. So this is the Blu-ray box set trilogy. Of course, the 3 movies. This is a nice set, and definitely a good way to watch each of those movies. And of course, again, I already mentioned this bootleg for Gamera the Brave. Daimajin here is a really interesting set. This is a really unique, I guess, trilogy of movies. They're all like not narratively connected, but they have basically like the same general story or structure, just in like different settings and with different characters and stuff like that. But the Daimajin like character is very cool, and that's sort of what is the connective tissue between these movies. If you're a fan of like Japanese tokusatsu or kaiju movies, I definitely recommend checking this out. I know that this particular Blu-ray, this was released by Mill Creek, is out of print, but Arrow Video did release, I think, a new set that has these. I definitely recommend checking those out. And then we move on to next franchise, Planet of the Apes. I'm a big fan of the original Planet of the Apes. I really, really like this movie a lot. I think it's incredible. The rest of the series is pretty entertaining too. I really liked the new Rise of the Planet of the Apes through War trilogy, and then the newest one too is pretty okay. All of them at least have some merit. I think they're all pretty fun and entertaining. One last Toho movie here. We got Space Amoeba. That's a pretty fun one from one of the last of the came out in 1970. It was one of the last of like that particular era, before they started kind of running out of steam. Land of the Lost complete series, and then the Will Ferrell comedy movie. Inframan is crazy. This is a weird movie. This is one's called Legend of Dinosaurs and Monster Birds. This is a Japanese movie that was sort of trying to emulate Jaws and Godzilla sort of at the same time. It came out in like the mid-70s, I think, sort of like in between the Godzilla hiatus in Japan. Very, very weird movie. It's also one of the only like kaiju movies that got popular in Russia, weirdly enough. But also this like slipcase is really strange too. So just weird all around. Of course, you gotta love the Star Wars movies. I particularly love this DVD set for the original Star Wars trilogy. This has the 2004 special editions, and it has the like the cropped or pan and scanned versions of the theatrical cuts. So I think it's one of the only ways, at least at this point, to get the theatrical cuts on DVD, at least officially. Then of course I have the rest of the series here in various forms. Not as big of a fan of the newer ones again, so they're okay, but I'm a big fan of the originals and the prequels, especially Revenge of the Sith. There's plenty more to talk about here. I'm just, scanning through it and see if there's anything that kind of jumps out. Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is one of my all-time favorite movies. This might be my favorite movie out of all of this, which is crazy to think about. But Jurassic Park, kind of one of those ultimate movies for me when I was a kid. I watched it a lot of times, and I will probably continue to watch it many times. So the original Jurassic Park is a favorite. I still need to get the latest one on DVD. I did actually like the latest Jurassic World movie. Didn't really like this one or this one too much, but they're all at least fun. You gotta love the dinosaurs and enjoy that. But yeah, the original Jurassic Park is incredible. And this set too is really neat, where it opens up the I'll show you, it opens up the boards there and the discs are in this set. So I love that set a lot too, very nostalgic. And the science fiction sort of ends here, and there's more room on this tower to fit more DVDs, but this is sort of the last of the science fiction, at least for now. Gotta love Pacific Rim. I wish there was a sequel though. That's kind of weird that they never came out with a sequel to Pacific Rim. Here we have this superhero tower. This is just all of my superhero movies and Marvel, DC, anything in between, all kind of fits here. At the bottom I have DC and whatever DC stuff I have. Particularly fond of the Dark Knight movies by Christopher Nolan. We have a few other things here like Spawn, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Chronicle, and then there's the Marvel stuff that gets started here. So I have like the Fox X-Men movies and some of Deadpool as well. We have the Spider-Man movies, like the Sony released ones, and Venom. And then here with Iron Man starts the MCU, which I've sort of fallen out of interest with as they've dragged on. I can't really find myself to keep up with these, but I do really like the MCU, at least up until Spider-Man, and that's kind of where it stops. The latest one I have is Multiverse of Madness. So MCU is still pretty entertaining and good. Before I move on, I have to mention this is the original Avengers. So this set is a DVD, but it also has the Blu-ray, which is really weird. I've never seen this before, where a Blu-ray would come in a standard DVD case and it would advertise the DVD first and the Blu-ray. It does have the Blu-ray, and it's HD just like it should be. Just really weird release. And here we'll talk about my little VHS corner. So I have this 2025 classic horror movies calendar above it here, but there's all kinds of stuff in this little VHS set. So this is, again, kind of the retro area for me. On top of the shelf here, I've got my clamshells because they don't really fit into the shelf. Most of what's here is Scooby-Doo. Again, I like Scooby-Doo, so there's tons and tons of Scooby-Doo tapes. But also have Dragon Ball, there's Cooler's Revenge, and then the History of Trunks. And there's a few more clamshells back there, mostly like Disney movies and stuff like that. But then there's some other unique VHS packaging here. Like these are old like video rentals. So they come in like these weird like plastic shells that are different from the clamshell. So yeah, very different. And this Star Trek one is like a cardboard set. Very interesting. And then this is sort of again split into like genres and chronological order, just like the DVDs in a way. So this is like the horror section that I have for my VHS tapes. So I've gotten these from like various sources. Sometimes I get them at conventions. Most of these I pick up from thrift stores though, which it's pretty rare to find like a lot of like horror movies at thrift stores, so you have to like scour and get pretty lucky with those, but sometimes you get them at other places too. Having at least a copy of Halloween on VHS is pretty cool. It's just the Blockbuster version, which has like really boring and uninteresting artwork on it. Like this is the art for this, which is pretty bad, but at least it is the whole movie, so it's pretty cool still to have that. And of course, I do have that release of Terrifier 2 on VHS. I thought that was a pretty neat little novelty to put it on tape, so I did get it on tape. I know they did the same thing with 3, but it was too expensive to justify buying it again on VHS at the time. So, but that, yeah, Terrifier 2, cool novelty to have on tape. There are more tapes behind there, but most of this is not really too relevant. So science fiction, X-Files episodes and movies, Planet of the Apes, more Scooby-Doo, of course, the Back to the Future trilogy, Indiana Jones trilogy, Jurassic Park trilogy, the trilogy section here. Whatever Star Wars movies I have on tape, some special editions, Empire Strikes Back is the original. We have the Batman movies, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. I love that one. A friend got that for me, and I will always cherish that particular tape. Ghostbusters, Mad Max, Land Before Time, all so fun. But wait, there's more. If we open up these cool little drawers, I've got even more tapes. So we've got kind of a collection of different stuff here. It goes out for a ways. I think the last one I have in there is 2001: A Space Odyssey. I can't pull out the whole thing, but that's a really cool thing with these wood paneling drawers have. So there's even more here. Some cool stuff. The '98 Godzilla, King Kong Lives on tape, and then Terminator and Star Trek in the back. I really like those drawers. That kind of helps complete the retro vibe. For now, that'll be it for this video. I just wanted to kind of go through my DVD collection one more time and just talk about it again, and sort of discuss my interest and fascination with DVDs and movies in general. It's so fun to have a great collection like this. I'm very thankful that I have a awesome collection of various different items and stuff here that is unique to me. So very lucky and appreciative of that. If you like DVDs and you like collections, definitely share this video with your friends. Hopefully you guys enjoy me discussing and yapping about this stuff. If you want to see more videos talking about the rest of my collection, I've got books, Goosebumps, I've got horror movie action figures here, masks. Let me know. I'd love to talk about that stuff again. But for now, we'll let you bask in the DVD collection, and I appreciate your time for watching.